You wake up one morning and everything seems normal. The sun's shining, birds are chirping, and you're going about your day. But what if I told you that all of this, every single thing you see, hear, and feel, might not be real at all? We're not talking about some far-fetched sci-fi movie plot here. Nope. This is a question that's got some of the brightest minds in philosophy and technology scratching their heads. Take David Chalmers, for instance. He's not just any philosopher, he's the co-director of NYU's Center for Mind, Brain, and Consciousness. And he's got a wild idea. Our physical and virtual realities are becoming so intertwined, it's getting harder to tell them apart. Think about it. How much of your life is spent staring at screens now? Between remote work, video calls, and endless scrolling on social media, we're living more and more in the digital world. Chalmers argues that this trend has only sped up since the pandemic hit. It's like we're slowly but surely slipping into our own version of the Matrix. But it's not just philosophers who are worried about this. Hani Farid, a professor at UC Berkeley, is sounding the alarm about AI and deep fakes. These technologies are getting so good at creating fake content, it's becoming nearly impossible to spot what's real and what's not. Farid warns that we're in an arms race to develop tools that can detect these fakes, but the tech is evolving faster than we can keep up. So here we are, living in a world where the line between reality and simulation is getting blurrier by the day. It's enough to make you wonder, are we already living in a Matrix-like simulation without even realizing it? But let's dig deeper into this rabbit hole. What exactly do we mean by a simulation? Well, in the context of this discussion, we're talking about a highly advanced computer program that creates a virtual reality so convincing it's indistinguishable from what we consider real reality. Now, you might be thinking, that's pretty ridiculous. But is it? Our brains are constantly interpreting sensory input to create our perception of reality. And our brains can be fooled. Just think about optical illusions or vivid dreams. In those moments, your brain is convinced that what it's experiencing is real. So if our brains can be tricked by simple illusions, is it really that far-fetched to think they could be fooled by an incredibly advanced simulation? That's the question that's keeping philosophers and scientists up at night. Let's consider some of the arguments for why we might be living in a simulation. First, there's the technological trajectory argument. I mean, just look at how far video games and virtual reality have come in just a few decades. Now, imagine where that technology might be in 100 years. How about 1,000? It's not hard to envision a future where creating a fully immersive, indistinguishable from reality simulation is possible. And then there's the ancestor simulation argument, popularized by philosopher Nick Bostrom. This argument says that if humanity survives long enough to develop the capability to run ancestor simulations, basically simulations of their entire civilization's history, they would likely run many such simulations. If that's the case, there would be far more simulated realities than the one base reality. Statistically speaking, we're more likely to be in one of the many simulations than the one real world. But even if we're not in a simulation now, the rate at which our physical and virtual worlds are merging suggests we might be headed that way. And that brings us back to David Chalmers and his ideas about the blending of realities. Chalmers argues that as virtual reality technology improves, we'll spend more and more time in these virtual worlds. These worlds will become increasingly complex and meaningful to us. We'll form relationships, build careers, and create art in these virtual spaces. At some point, Chalmers suggests, these virtual realities will be just as real to us as physical reality. And that's where Hani Farid's concern about AI and deepfakes comes into play. As these technologies advance, they're not just changing our online experiences, they're altering our perception of reality itself. Deepfakes can make us see and hear things that never actually happened. AI can generate text, images, and even entire virtual worlds that are indistinguishable from reality. So we find ourselves in a world where the boundaries between what's real and what's virtual are becoming increasingly blurred. We're creating more and more convincing simulations, while simultaneously becoming more immersed in our virtual worlds. It's a feedback loop that's propelling us towards a future where the question, are we living in a simulation, becomes increasingly relevant and increasingly difficult to answer. And as we ponder these mind-bending questions about the nature of reality, we're simultaneously taking steps to create entities that further blur the line between the real and the simulated. Welcome to the world of digital humans. AI-powered virtual beings that look, sound, and act eerily human. Imagine waking up one day and turning on your TV only to see a news anchor who doesn't actually exist in the flesh. They are a digital creation, powered by AI, reading the news with perfect inflection and facial expressions. Sounds far-fetched? Well, it's already happening. These digital humans are becoming more sophisticated by the day. They can engage in conversations, answer questions, and even show emotions. Companies are using them as virtual assistants, brand ambassadors, and even in healthcare to provide support to patients. As these digital humans become more advanced, the line between what's real and what's artificial starts to blur even more. We might find ourselves forming relationships with these digital entities, maybe even preferring their company to that of real humans. After all, they're designed to be perfect companions, always available, never judgmental, and constantly learning to better serve our needs. But with all of this advancement comes a host of ethical questions. What rights should these digital humans have if they become sentient? Do we treat them as equals? And how do we ensure that this technology isn't used to manipulate or deceive people on a massive scale? Companies like Soul Machines, Deep Brain AI, and others are pushing the boundaries of what's possible. These digital humans are not just static images or pre-programmed responses. They are dynamic, learning entities that can adapt to different situations and interactions. Take, for example, the digital humans being used in customer service. These AI-powered avatars can handle countless interactions simultaneously, never get tired, and can be updated with new information instantly. They can recognize emotions in the people they're interacting with and adjust their responses accordingly. But it's not just in customer service. Digital humans are making their way into entertainment, education, and even personal relationships. In the entertainment industry, we're seeing the rise of virtual influencers, computer-generated characters with millions of followers on social media. These digital celebrities can be carefully crafted to appeal to specific audiences. They never age, and they never have off days. And then there's the realm of personal relationships. We are already seeing the development of AI companions designed to provide emotional support and companionship. As these digital humans become more sophisticated, we might find ourselves forming deep, meaningful relationships with them. They could be tailored to our individual preferences, always available when we need them, and capable of providing the kind of unconditional support that's rare in human relationships. But as we create these increasingly realistic and capable digital humans, we're venturing into uncharted ethical territory. If a digital human becomes advanced enough to pass the Turing test, that is, if it becomes indistinguishable from a real human in conversation, what rights should it have? Should it be treated as a piece of software or as a sentient being? Moreover, as we become more accustomed to interacting with these perfect AI-driven entities, how will it affect our relationships with real humans? Will we become less tolerant of human flaws and inconsistencies? Will we prefer the company of digital humans to that of our flesh and blood peers? And let's not forget the existential questions. As we create digital versions of ourselves, digital twins that can continue to interact with the world even after we're gone, we're fundamentally changing our relationship with mortality. If a digital version of you can continue to exist, learn, and interact with your loved ones after your physical death, what does that mean for our understanding of life and death? In many ways, the development of digital humans is bringing us closer to the kind of simulated reality we've been discussing. These entities are, in essence, simulations of human beings. As they become more advanced and integrated into our daily lives, they're blurring the line between what's real and what's simulated. So the next time you're chatting with a customer service rep online, watching a social media influencer, or even interacting with a digital assistant, ask yourself, am I interacting with a real human or a digital one? In this brave new world that we're creating, the answer might not be as clear as you think. And perhaps that's the point. Maybe the question isn't whether we're living in a simulation, but rather how much of our reality is already simulated. As we create more convincing digital humans and immersive virtual worlds, we are actively constructing a simulated reality all around us. We're not just passive participants in a potential simulation, we're the architects of our own matrix. So where does this leave us? Are we living in a simulation? Is the reality that we perceive truly real? Or are we creating a simulated reality through our technological advancements? The truth is, we don't have definitive answers to any of these questions. But as we continue to push the boundaries of what's possible with AI, virtual reality, and digital humans, these questions become increasingly relevant. One thing is clear: the line between reality and simulation is becoming increasingly blurred. So the next time you look around at the world, remember, things might not be as real as they seem. And in the future, the distinction between what's real and what's simulated might not even matter at all. Welcome to the Matrix! Or at the very least, our version of it.